We're at Buckingham Palace on Diamond Jubilee weekend, and this is the impressive backdrop for 4 days of pageantry and partying, and some of the world's biggest stars are already in town for the concert at the Palace on Monday evening. And this is where they'll sing for the Queen and for thousands of guests, all of them under the watchful eye of the only other British monarch to celebrate 60 years on the throne. Well, the celebration started back in February on the anniversary of the Queen's accession in 1952, but today is the first day of the official Diamond Jubilee weekend. It's fair bet the Queen is looking forward to the first engagement with more than a little enthusiasm, because she's been attending the Epsom Derby for the past 8 decades. She'll be there again today. Well, here in London, final preparations underway for celebrations that make this an extended weekend. A few hours ago, rehearsals for the concert at a stop, while the troops of the Household Division made their way to Horse Guards because they're preparing for the Queen's Jubilee birthday parade, and that's in a fortnight's time. So let's focus on the days ahead, the big Jubilee weekend. Here on BBC One, we'll bring you live, unrivaled coverage of all the events. Tomorrow afternoon at 1:30, one of the biggest river pageants in history, involving 1,000 vessels. On Monday evening at 7:30, we'll have exclusive coverage of the Diamond Jubilee concert here on BBC One. And on Tuesday from 9:15 in the morning, we'll be following the processions and the service of Thanksgiving at St. Paul's. That's all to come. We start the fun today in Epsom, where the Queen is about to arrive for the famous Derby. So it's over to my colleague Claire Balding to guide us through the afternoon's events. Over to you, Claire.
Hugh, thank you so much. And it's about 16 miles as the crow flies from where you are outside Buckingham Palace to us here high on the Epsom Downs, with that ancient downland turf and the course that provides the biggest and the greatest challenge to any thoroughbred racehorse. It's a grey, overcast day, but there is colour everywhere here at Epsom, and the predominant themes are red, white and blue. This, the flower border outside the royal box, and that is the balcony from which the Queen will stand and watch the 2012 running of the Derby, a race that she has rarely missed since 1953, the year of her coronation, when she came here in person to watch Oriel, her horse, finish second to Pinzer. There are thousands and thousands of people here on the common ground of the Downs, where it's free entry and you can dress up in what you like and enjoy a picnic, get on the fairground rides and just have a wonderful family day out. And the main grandstands here as well, which are completely sold out. And we have already had the thrill and the entertainment of the parachute regiment, the Red Devils, flying down from the sky with a 2,000 square foot Union flag. It is a terrific stage, the perfect platform from which to kick off the 4 days of the Diamond Jubilee holiday. And so many here in such a positive, enthusiastic frame of mind, all of them waiting to see the Queen and the royal party arrive, and she will process down the course in an open-top Range Rover, and also hoping to enjoy just the thrill of Derby Day. What a great race with a fabulous history this is, and a race that the Queen herself has loved and enjoyed so much.
The Epsom Derby is the world's greatest classic horse race.
Welcome to Epsom for one of the biggest days in the sporting calendar.
Derby Day is always a very special national occasion.
The Royal Association with Epsom goes back 300 years.
Her Majesty the Queen making her way to the paddock.
This year, with the Jubilee celebrations only days away, it is a really right royal occasion.
A great moment this in any year, but all the more so in Jubilee year.
Can he win the Derby for the Queen? A nation awaits.
And Dunfermline now going into the lead. Carlton House now strides to the front for Her Majesty the Queen.
Good Carrozza, hold on. It was neck and neck.
Highcliffe.
And it's going to be a royal victory, I think.
Coming away. It's a royal winner.
Jubilee fever seems to be on everyone.
A day that Her Majesty the Queen tries not to miss.
And to top it all, Her Majesty the Queen is here to see the race.
And today's Derby jockeys, knowing they are going to perform in front of the Queen. Hayley Turner on the right, only the second woman ever to ride in the Derby. She's on board Cavaliero. That's Paul Hannigan, the champion jockey, his first Derby ride on Mickdam. William Buick, such a promising young talent. He rides Thought Worthy, who would have an each-way chance for sure. And there, Jamie Spencer, one of only 2 jockeys to have been placed in the race before. He rides Minimise Risk, and the only jockey in the race to have won it is Ryan Moore. He's got his game face on, he's been walking the course, he's on board astrology for Aidan O'Brien, he won it on workforce, and there is a relaxed looking Jimmy Fortune who takes the ride on the second favourite, Bonfire. We will, of course, be previewing the Derby in full, giving you all the stories behind the scenes. But the Diamond Jubilee and the Queen's arrival forefront in our minds. And Ingrid Seward, who is the editor of Majesty magazine and a royal expert, is alongside me. Ingrid, have we ever seen anything quite like this before?
I've never seen anything like this. It's quite magnificent. And of course, 60 years ago, when the Derby was run on a Wednesday, the court was still in mourning for the Queen's father, King George VI, and she wasn't here. But next year is the anniversary of the Coronation Derby. But I think the Queen is probably really looking forward to this. And there's a wonderful atmosphere of excitement with everyone waiting to see her.
And so much joy, I think, from everybody who's here, whether they're young or old, whether they can remember the Queen's coronation or her accession to the throne, or whether they've got very short memories and they're very young and just know that this is their Queen. And in amongst that crowd for us is Sonali Shah.
Welcome to Britain's biggest street party. We're inside the course over here, and this is where the fun's really being had. This is where we've got lots of families having picnics, we've got the fairground, lots and lots of bunting and plenty of punting. Yeah, it's a word. I've made it up. This is the Vinyl family, who are very excited to be here. This is Grandad Richard, who has brought along his 3 kids, their partners, and 5 grandkids. Why was it so important for you to be here, Richard?
Well, it's so very important to us, A, because we've come to support the Queen, and B, that 2 of my grandchildren are half German, and we'd like them to feel part of their British heritage, which they'll probably remember in sort of years to come.
The dad of those grandkids is Robert over here, and you've come from Switzerland.
Yeah, we travelled all the way over from Switzerland just to be here on this special weekend where, you know, it's the Queen's Jubilee, so we definitely wanted to be here.
Alex, why are you so excited to be here?
Just excited to be with all my family. Obviously my brother's come over from Switzerland, my son's here too. Now we're going to be on TV so we can remember that, so it's great, it's really good.
Kids, who's looking forward to seeing the Queen?
I just love how excited everybody is. You know, the chance to see the Queen in person and to see her at the place that she has chosen. This is what she wants to kick off the Diamond Jubilee with. For them to come to the Derby, whether they're racing fans or not, Ingrid, they're coming because the Queen has said, this is it, you'll enjoy this, come here.
Well, it's such a wonderfully exciting day anyway, but especially now there's a very patriotic feeling, which us Brits don't always do very well, and it's really, really nice to feel it here.
And I know the Queen herself will be looking very closely at the 9 runners for the Derby. It's the smallest field for 105 years, but it's bursting with quality, certainly in the face of the hot favourite Camelot, an odds-on favourite, and looking like he's going to be the shortest price favourite since 1947, when a horse called Tudor Minstrel was sent off at 7-4 on and was beaten, only finished 4th. And you can see there plenty of people thinking, oh, well, I'll do my own bit of crown jewels. There's quite a comic feel to some of it, but I like the light-heartedness of it, and I like, you know, just the fact that everybody...
Well, Derby Day's always been like that, hasn't it? It hasn't been... It's not like Ascot, when you have to be very, very smart. Everyone can do their own thing here, can't they?
Exactly, and they're particularly on the downs, and as a child I used to come and go down to the start, and actually my brother came way more years than I did. I think I only came once, but you could come in, you know, t-shirt and shorts in the middle and get right down, get close to the horses if you want to, or just be part of the fairground atmosphere and then try and run across to the rails to see the field flash by.
I've actually ridden along the Derby course.
You've ridden it?
I've ridden it, yes.
Ingrid, that's
when
very
I used
impressive.
to ride out for a trainer in Epsom.
Good effort. You have racing pedigree as well as royal pedigree.
Not really.
Who are we expecting to see accompany the Queen today?
Well, there's a full contingent of members of the royal family, not apparently the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, although we understand that the Middletons have a runner.
They do.
Trained by Hughie Morrison.
Sorab in the dash.
But
yes.
We're certainly going to see the Duke of York and his children, the 2 princesses, and Sophie Wessex, Prince Edward, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, Prince and Princess Michael of Kent. And the only other people that won't be here, of course, are Prince Charles and Camilla. But they might make a last-minute appearance, you never know.
You saw there one of the great Derby Day traditions, the open-top double-decker bus, and those spots right on the rail there within the final furlong are booked years in advance. That is a real prime position to be in.
Well, it's very into open tops, isn't it, now? The Queen is in the State Review vehicle.
And we see now the royal party arriving. And we will get a very clear view with the enormous sort of oversized windows and the great big back window as well. Everyone getting a very clear view of the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. The cars coming through onto the course at Tattenham Corner and will come down nearly 3 furlongs of the course in front of all of those crowds. And the Queen will alight from that car just by the winner's enclosure, walk through the grandstand and take the lift up to the royal box. Look at the people running along the infield there, trying to keep up.
Actually, I was asking Willie Carson earlier why the Queen couldn't come in a carriage, and he said it's just too narrow. Although it doesn't look that narrow, it's just too narrow for the carriages.
And the Queen making absolutely sure that her driver stays away from the ground that will be used in the Derby. That may sound daft, but I promise you she will have said, do not go to the inside rail, do not mess up the Derby, the actual Derby course ground. So they're swinging wide round Tattenham Corner and coming down at a sedate pace.
Well, the Queen would never do anything that would interfere with horse racing, and she's so aware about what's going on.
So we have a full cavalcade there of 7 cars in total. And as Ingrid mentioned in some of the others, the Duke of York, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, the Earl of Wessex and the Countess of Wessex, the Duke of Gloucester and the Duchess of Gloucester, Prince Michael of Kent, Princess Michael of Kent, and Princess Alexandra, the Honourable Lady Ogilvy. And the Queen is wearing, you could just get a flash there of the royal blue coat. Underneath that, a white silk dress with blue floral print by Stuart Parvin, the coat and dress. And her hat is by Rachel Trevor Morgan, who now makes many of the Queen's hats for all sorts of occasions, and 5 of them will be required for Royal Ascot, when we will see a royal procession every day of a slightly different kind with the horse-drawn carriages, but a motorcade procession coming down the course here.
And of course the Queen is like all of us. She doesn't necessarily decide what she's going to wear until the day, because it's also weather dependent.
Well, and it is chilly today. You know, there is quite a chill in the air, and the wind is coming down the course. It'll be behind the horses, a tailwind.
Will that slow them down a bit?
Well, no, because it's behind them. The dash in particular, the 5 furlong race, I think will be run very quickly today because of that following wind.
So it's a tailwind, like if you were in an airplane.
Exactly,
yes.
Yeah. Helps when you're on a half-ton horse.
Because one thing people love is being able to talk to the Queen about horses, and it's a great icebreaker, as long as you know a little bit about them and you don't want to be a complete ignoramus.
So did you tell her that you'd ridden around at Epsom? I think that should be your opening line.
No, I've never told her that.
And the Queen, who nearly always wears the white gloves, waving at the crowds, and the Duke of Edinburgh as well, with a bit broad smile on his face. I'm sure they'll appreciate the affection that's clearly coming across from the hundreds of thousands of people who are here today.
Now, I understand Her Majesty is really excited about today, and of course she'll be rooting for, I don't know the name of the horse in the Derby.
Bonfire.
Bonfire.
I think probably she might be rooting for Bonfire, because John Warren, who is her racing advisor, manages the syndicate of 20 people who own Bonfire. And he rang the Queen after Bonfire won the Dante at York. He rang the Queen to update her on her horses. And she said, oh, don't tell me about my horses. What about Bonfire? Wasn't that exciting?
But and the Queen had a winner 2 days ago, didn't she, at Sandown evening racing?
Carlton House won, and that's the first time he's won since running in the Derby last year. So they'll have an exciting year ahead for him. You know, he's a very classy horse, and I think he'll run in top Group 1 races and give the Queen an awful lot of pleasure. And she has a runner at Haydock today, actually, Set to Music, who we thought might run in the Coronation Cup, runs at 3:10 at Haydock.
Really?
So I suspect the guests in the Royal Box will be tuned in to watch that before, you know, focusing their attention.
Races, did they show Haydock on television?
We don't, not on the BBC, but I think the Queen will be able to have a look. And whistles and cheers now ringing out as the Queen's car arrives at the bright red lollipop, the winning post here. The most valuable stick of wood in the world, as was once said. because the horse that passes that post in front propels himself to, well, legendary status. And the national anthem will be sung for the Queen by Catherine Jenkins, multi-million album selling artist. Catherine Jenkins hitting all the right notes, and what a magnificent rendition of the national anthem. The Queen now greeted by Dame Sarah Goad, who's the Lord Lieutenant of Surrey, and she will be meeting Anthony Kane as well, the chairman of Epsom Racecourse, and a selected group of people invited into the lineup to greet the Queen. And we can see the Duke of York there in the foreground of our picture as well, with his daughters Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. The Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh having a chat with everybody. And actually on Derby Day, so easy really, because you know, what do you think will win the Derby is the obvious question.
Yeah, there's plenty to talk about.
That's Anthony Kane, he's the chairman of Epsom. And you can get a full look there at the royal blue Stuart Parvin coat and the Rachel Trevor Morgan hat. And a wonderful colour to wear, and an appropriate colour to wear.
Cornflower blue, I think, isn't it?
I was going to say royal blue, isn't it?
Oh yes, but I'm sure you're right. Royal blue.
And the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh will make their way through the tunnel under the grandstand that has a glass wall on the side of it, and the glass wall looks straight into the weighing room. So there will be jockeys, I'm sure, lined up in the weighing room itself to get their own sort of personal view of the Queen.
And the Queen always has the winning jockey, doesn't she, to join her in the royal box after the Derby. Is that correct?
He's invited up to meet her and have a drink, and she gets the full debrief on how he won the Derby, or indeed this year possibly how she won the Derby if Hayley Turner is successful. And that's the opening, as it were, the official opening to Derby Day 2012 with the royal procession. And Ingrid, how lovely it is to see the Queen here, looking as if, well, so relaxed, and for a day that we know that she will enjoy so much.
This will obviously be perhaps the highlight of our whole weekend. I think, well, tomorrow the river pageant is very, very exciting, but at least it's not raining today. I fear about the weather tomorrow slightly with that river pageant. But I think the Queen, I've heard, is really, really looking forward to this. And she's a very humble person. And I think she's very touched when people show such love and affection for her.
Well, there was plenty of that on display from the crowds here at Epsom. And a chance now for the Queen and for the rest of us to focus on the sporting day ahead. The highlight, of course, being the Derby at 4 o'clock.